What's going on, guys? Alpha Z here, and wow, it feels so good to be back with another video. You know, these days in Clash of Clans, it feels like no matter how solid your base looks, it just gets smoked out so easily, right? Like, it's almost like defending isn't even possible anymore with all the updates Supercell keeps throwing at us. New troops, spells, hero equipment, man, sometimes you just sit there thinking, what's the point of upgrading all these defenses and stupid walls? And hey, I've been there way too many times. But that's exactly why today's video is going to be special. I didn't just build one base to test. Oh no, I went a little crazy this time. I built 6 different base designs, each one carefully crafted, tested, and tweaked, just so you don't lose faith in base building. Trust me, every wall upgrade, every defense, it still counts. Now, some of these Town Hall 13 bases are for trophy pushing, where the best your opponent might get is a single star, maybe even a -1 trophy if they fail to get to the Town Hall. Others are built for farming, to keep that juicy loot safe. And a couple? Well, let's just say they're straight-up war machines, built for clan wars and CWL, designed to frustrate attackers and stop that easy 3-star. So, grab a snack, sit back, and let's jump into the top 6 Town Hall 13 base designs I've got lined up for you today. So here's how we're going to do this today. I've got 6 bases lined up, and for each one, I'll walk you through what it's built for. Farming, trophy pushing, or war. And then I'll show you how it actually performs when it gets attacked. Because, hey, what's the point of a base if it doesn't hold up, right? Now, quick question for you. Which type of base do you mostly prefer in Clash of Clans? Are you the farming type, protecting every gold and drop of elixir? Or are you the trophy pusher, sweating it out on the ladder, trying to flex those high cups? Drop it down in the comments. I'm really curious to see what most of you guys prefer. For me, honestly, I lean towards trophy bases. There's just something satisfying about seeing an attacker walk away with a 1-star fail on my base. But hey, that's just me. So let's stop stalling and dive into the first base. This design is a true hybrid, meaning it works for both farming and trophy pushing. When I tested it, the very first thing that stood out was how balanced it felt. You know how most farming bases just collapse once the attacker cracks into the core? Yeah, this one doesn't hand out that kind of satisfaction. The storages are spread smartly, but tucked in just enough to make it frustrating for attackers to clear everything in a single run. But here's where it really impressed me: trophy pushing. It stood tall against different strategies, and almost every time, attackers either walked away with a 1-star fail or scraped by with a low percentage 2-star. The Town Hall sitting almost central makes it tough to grab without serious commitment. And the heroes? They put in work, especially against those heavy air pushes like dragons that dared to creep close to the Town Hall. Let's be real, we're not just handing out that 2nd star for free. This is exactly the kind of base I'd recommend if you want something reliable. A design that defends your loot and trophies without forcing you to sacrifice one for the other. Alright, let's move on to the second base, and right away, you can tell this one was built with farming in mind. The goal here isn't just trophies, it's protecting your hard-earned loot. And honestly, this design nails it. When I was testing it, the first thing that stood out to me was how well the storages were protected. They're not just randomly placed around the base, every single one sits behind layers of defenses. You've got heroes, scattershots, infernos, all strategically placed to guard those storages. And the Town Hall? Yeah, good luck with that. What really stood out to me about this second base was how tough it was for the Royal Champion walk. Normally you'd expect the Royal Champion to carve out some serious value before sending in the dragons. But here, she barely gets much done. In the few attacks I tested, the attackers either ran out of invisibility spells way too early or got completely redirected, never making it to the Eagle Artillery. And when the attackers finally send in the dragons to clean up, the base would still have the Eagle Artillery to rain on those dragons. The Town Hall compartment is heavily guarded. I mean, you could clearly see that with the heroes, Teslas, scattershots, and infernos all surrounding the Town Hall. So if you're the type of player who values keeping your loot safe, but also doesn't want to drop trophies all the time, this base will serve you really well. This one leans more toward trophy pushing, and you can really tell from the way it's built. It's not so much about protecting loot, its main goal is to stand tall against heavy, experienced attackers you'll meet in the higher leagues. Losing a bit of loot here and there is almost expected, but what this base really does is reduce the chances of giving away those painful 3 stars. It's an island-style layout with 2 scatter shots and an Inferno tower, each placed in their own compartments. They're backed up by supporting defenses, which makes every section of the base feel like its own little stronghold. When I tested it, I noticed attackers often struggled with decisions. Take out one scattershot compartment, and the other will still be in play. Push through the center, and multiple defenses will be locked onto their troops. I even saw some Town Hall 14 players give it a go, and while they definitely pushed deeper, most of the time their armies and spells burned out before they got to the Town Hall. The results? A lot of 2 stars, sometimes just a single star, but almost never an easy triple. And that's not because the attackers weren't skilled, but because the design naturally slows down their progress. So if you're pushing hard on trophies at Town Hall 13 and need a reliable defense, this base gives you that. It won't make you untouchable, nothing does, but it does make sure your opponents have to work hard for every star. Alright guys, this is the first 3 bases I wanted to share with you, and hopefully you've spotted 1 or 2 that really match your style of play. If you're enjoying the video so far, do me a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps the channel grow and keeps me motivated to bring you even more base designs. I truly appreciate the support. Now, let's jump into the next base. Fourth base. This one is built with a clear purpose, making sure opponents don't just stroll in and walk away with an easy 3-star. In wars, that extra star can be the difference between a win and a loss, so the focus here is slowing attackers down and countering some of the strongest meta we're seeing right now in the game. The layout follows a box-style structure. The Town Hall isn't sitting dead center, and that's intentional. It's not too exposed either, just positioned in a way that still allows it to deal out damage when attackers come close, while the rest of the base keeps pressure on them. What really stood out to me in testing the base was how it handled the Royal Champion walk. We all know that strategy dominates in the game currently. Attackers send her in with invisibility spells, hoping she clears out a huge section before the main push comes in. But on this base, her value is limited. Most of the time she either takes down the Eagle artillery or makes a push for the Town Hall, but can't for both. And once she's taken out or recalled, the follow-up dragons usually still have a lot to clean up on the base. The defense synergy is strong here too. Scattershots and Infernos punish grouped-up troops, while the spacing forces attackers to make tough choices, especially with Electro Dragons. In the test runs, most attacks ended with solid 2 stars and in some cases even a 1-star fail, especially when attackers started from the Eagle artillery side. So, if you're looking for a layout or your clan needs a war base at Town Hall 13 that absorbs pressure and limits the Royal Champion walk value, this one does exactly that. It won't shut down every attack completely, but it makes sure your opponent works harder for that 3-star. Fifth base. This one takes a different approach. It is designed with time fails in mind, and we all know in wars, sometimes the clock is just as dangerous as the defenses themselves. That's exactly where this layout shines. The Eagle artillery and the Town Hall are placed on opposite ends of the base, each tucked into its own strong compartment with backup defenses. No matter which side the attacker starts from, they're committing a lot of time and troops just to secure one of them. By the time they cross over to the other end, the clock is already ticking down fast. The Inferno towers are another key piece here. All 3 sit in isolated compartments, positioned just far enough back that long-range troops like the Archer Queen can't easily pick them off. This often forces attackers to take the long way around, and if they mismanage their funnel, their army ends up circling instead of breaking into the core. And when troops finally do reach the Infernos, they've already burned through a good chunk of spells and momentum. In testing, I noticed this base didn't just defend because of raw firepower. It forced awkward paths and ate up precious seconds. A lot of attacks ran out of time with troops still on the field, and even the successful ones usually ended in a grindy 2-star, never an easy triple. So if you need a war base that frustrates attackers and turns the clock into your secret weapon, this one is a really solid choice. It won't stop every hit, but it makes sure every star is earned the hard way. Alright guys, this last warbase is honestly one of my favorites, not just because it held up during testing, but because of how deceptively tricky the design really is. At first glance, it might look similar to the first warbase I showed earlier, just with a small wall adjustment. But don't let that fool you. Those subtle tweaks completely change how it plays out in battle. The standout in testing was, of course, the Royal Champion Walk. Opponents kept coming in with that strategy, trying to carve out massive value with their RC, but just can't get much out of it. Instead of tearing through half the base like she usually does, she'd get dragged into awkward angles, pick off one or two key defenses, and then either get taken out or recalled too early. That left the follow-up army, whether it was Dragons or Electro Dragons, coming in with way less momentum, still staring at a ton of base left to clear. The Town Hall and Eagle Artillery placements make the base even more of a headache. Each sits in its own compartment on opposite sides of the layout, which forces attackers into a tough decision. Take the Town Hall first and the Eagle Artillery rains down fire later in the attack. Leave the Town Hall for last, and it ends up frying troops in its range when they're already on low HPs. Either choice is risky, and attackers feel the pressure. Then there are the Infernos, and this is where those small design tweaks really shine. They're positioned so that no matter what path the army takes, ground and air troops end up crossing into their beams. And with scatter shots set up deep inside their compartments, attackers can't just snipe them with long-range troops like the Archer Queen. They have to commit, and that's when things start to fall apart. What I liked most in the replays was how attackers often got dragged around the outside of the base. Even when they finally managed to break into the core, they still had plenty left to deal with inside. Most attacks ended in 2 stars, and a surprising number came dangerously close to a 1-star fail. So if your clan wants a warbase that frustrates attackers, disrupts Royal Champion walks, and keeps opponents racing against the clock, this one does it beautifully. It's not just strong, it's clever, it's deceptive, and it makes every star hard-earned. And that's it for today's lineup of home and war bases, guys. Each of these designs brings something unique to the table, whether you're farming, pushing trophies, or locking down stars for your clan in war. I really enjoyed testing them out, and I hope they help you out just as much. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your clanmates. It really helps a lot and keeps me motivated to bring more of these setups for you. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Stay strong, keep clashing, and best of luck in your raids.